der zentralen Position, muss Schwarzer unter Vorsicht, dann ist es Fjørtoft, der ist im Strafraum, Tor! Tor! Für die Frankfurter Eintracht, 5:1, herrlich!
Hi and welcome to the German Fußball podcast. We are here with a bit of a creative setup. Before I go into where I am, you are now in what bathroom and in what country?
I'm the most famous pitch side reporter in a bath in whole the world. I think I've done ESPN a couple of times in a bath as well. Because the lighting is good here. There's some hotels that have a good corridors, but I don't have this at the moment. I'm in Munich because this week I'm gonna work a bit with Champions League. But the weekend I spent in London. It was good to see you guys. And I did Brighton against Tottenham. It was great to go down to Brighton. I praised the city. I was early there, so I learned a lot about the city. I love that. And of course, on Sunday, I did Arsenal-Liverpool and had some quite interesting interviews. I was speaking to Kane. It was very touchy interview. Everything that Tottenham has done for Ventrone, their fitness coach, who passed away so tragically on Thursday. I think the Spurs fans and Spurs could be very proud of how they praised him at the game. And today they also put a tree up in training ground. I like that. Very touchy. And then I went to your team, Arsenal. I have to reveal that. Your team winning against Liverpool, which was a great football game. A lot of drama. 3-2 win for Arsenal. And I had a long interview. And I say long because when Klopp is in that mood, he is a very good guy to interview because he kind of uses the interview to reflect over the games. And he was downbeat, but still, I am 100% sure that Klopp can turn that around for Liverpool. Although one of my questions was, we can both do the maths, and you are 14 points behind Arsenal, but I'm sure they can come back. Although the bad news today, of course, that Diaz will be out for rest of the season. That means over the World Cup, which is a big setback for them after he got injured at Emirates. And where are you?
I am in Chester, on the border of Wales, where I am currently residing for the next 8 days until the apartment in London is ready. Chester is a lovely place. So if you haven't been, I highly recommend it, albeit in a rather small hotel room. But like you said, it was lovely to see both you and Mum over the weekend in London. And you...
A bit nerdy. I think Chester is where... I'm not 100% sure, but I think that Ian Rush came from there. So before
Ian Rush and Michael Owen, I believe.
Yes.
Who was a Ballon d'Or winner. So
yes, absolutely. Played for Real Madrid at the time, didn't he? When he got that. So yes.
Was it that or I think he got it in Liverpool.
Oh yeah, maybe I got Liverpool. Then he went to Real Madrid, maybe.
Because he peaked early. He
did. Was an early bloomer.
Early bloomer. In that answer there, though, Dad, there was a lot of... I mean, I know you watched the Klassiker in Brighton while watching that. I wanted to ask you also how Klopp has changed since those Dortmund days as well. I mean, you have a lot of Dortmund Bayern parallels there, but you could in many ways say that it was a Klopp-like spirit within that Dortmund team who got back and broke that but that losing streak to Bayern to equalize there at the very, very end, and the scenes with Modeste scoring, and after him having missed that chance to then go and score that header after a very good cross by Schlottenbeck. How did you experience it when you were there in Brighton, seeing those scenes and just your reflection of the game as a whole?
Yeah, it's a good point. That was the Klopp mentality doing that, because first of all, he has been 7 years at Liverpool. There's a lot of talking about those 7 years kind of thing that happened to him. I think that is rubbish. I think that there's so many other reasons why Liverpool is struggling this season. Nothing to do with this 7th year being in Mainz or in Dortmund. I think he's more a victim of his own success. I think that at the wrong time, or he hasn't got the players that he needed to kind of renew his team, because the American owners, have thought he can only make world stars out of no one that he's done so many times with Andy Robertson or on Arnold and Henderson when they're winning the captain of England. But yeah, that was a side way out of that. But now I was watching Brighton Tottenham. I had my iPhone in front of me, and when there were goals both ways, because I'm neutral to those games, but I've been to the Klassikers the last 3-4 years, and it was amazing because it was all down to Bayern. They control the game. We fear that they will do that because that's so typical Bayern. It is top games. They kind of get an extra gear in. And Goretzka was doing the 1-0. Leroy Sané, who's having a great season, scoring some decisive goal. I have him down for one of the stars at the World Cup. He could be very decisive for Germany there.
Quick question.
So everything. Yes.
Quick question with Sané, Dad. Why is it that Sané, because Sané has been very good for Bayern this season, why do Sané still has to win people over in a way? Because he was Young Player of the Year in the Premier League for Man City. He's played for some big clubs. Why is there still doubt related to him?
Yeah, because Marcus, and I will use an example that you will recognize as an Arsenal Gunners. He got that Özil syndrome. Is that when they feel when he is bad, he's so very bad. I don't agree with that, and I didn't agree with that with Özil as well, because I think that sometimes the body language is kind of misunderstood, misinterpreted. Help me, that's German. Yeah, misinterpreted. And there is the same with Leroy Sané, because he is a happy-go-lucky. He's that cool guy. I love him. I've interviewed him many times. I spoke to him when he was in England for Manchester City, because we knew each other from the Germany time. I'm so old that I played with his dad, who played for Wattenscheid. I remember back in the days. But he's a great lad. But people like him, when you have that kind of personality, kind of charisma, but he's like the cool man type of guy. Yeah. So when he is down a bit, it's so easy to have a go at him. Other players, they kind of get away with it. First of all, because you're so used to them being good. So he's a bit better than the others. I think that Pep Guardiola will miss him. This was one of the players he missed out on, because he wanted to keep him. But at his best, he is brilliant. And it's also been a bit about being in the right position. But now we got two coaches who coach the national team in Hansi Flick and Julian Nagelsmann at Bayern have found his position. Yeah, so he's in there, scoring the 2-0, and you think there's gone. You think that the game is gone. But then starts the big drama of Modeste. And we have to take it, and you were into it, the timeline. So he came on in the 70th minute. 3-4 minutes later, he sets up a goal for Moukoko. I have to say Moukoko, but this goal is the youngest player we've ever scored. He's 17, youngest player ever scored in their Klassiker, in a game in the top flight for Dortmund and Bayern. And I also will say that Moukoko, he was seen. I was so often in Dortmund, as you know, also before Erling Haaland, and they were talking about this young kid coming up, scoring all these goals when he was 13, 14, 15. He was always ahead of his. He was more mature, you know. And then he came into the first team, being the youngest at everything. And then there was a bit back. He didn't succeed. He started to get frustrated. He wanted to go away. I thought, well, maybe he's just one of those young stars that will have trouble to adjust. But this season, I mean, he's looking so good. And in this game, Modeste was out of the team. It was not against Modeste, but it was a lot of things said about him that he is 34. He came from Köln. He was there to replace Sebastian Aller, has his illness with the cancer. And the last signals there is the chemotherapy is going very well, which is fantastic news. And so Modeste was on the bench, but he's coming on in the 70th, makes an assist, so it's 2-1. But still, Bayern kind of controlling the game. And then I think it was in the 83rd minute. It was the mother of all chances, or like a commentator, a colleague of mine said, the all-time mother when he lost out on the word. It was, you know,
You say this before. You've said this before, though, as a striker, and I know I was never a striker, but is it a case there where he should? You always say, "Oh, slide and get your whole body behind it." Should he have done that there, or is that just like such a big miss, so it didn't need that?
I always did that to understand that for people. I always said that, and you've listened carefully over the years. Is that
too bad I couldn't apply it on the field.
But but you were a defender. You used it a different way. But as you're saying, if you just use the kind of flate, what's that in English, Marcus?
The surface area.
Yeah, the surface kind of area of your shoes. Yeah. That is not a lot. But if you use your body, if you use your whole shoe, if you knew your leg, if you knew your thighs, you somehow get the ball over the line. I always did that. And that maybe I was not one of those strikers who missed a lot of chances. Not saying that I was perfect, but other strikers came to more chances maybe, but I didn't miss a lot of chances. I was quite good in the finishing type of thing. Of course, I missed my chances as well. But Modeste, so this is in 83rd minute. So he missed this big chance just ahead of the yellow wall. So this is the chance for them to get an equalizer. So and the game is going slowly. And then of all people, Schlotterbeck, the defender, made a perfect cross in. And there is Modeste. That's why they took him on. It's perfect timing, perfect way he found the area where the
ball watching by Pavard. I'd say that as a center back, and Pavard is way better than I am, but we can still know he's still ball watching. Unfortunately,
absolutely, and that is then you have the striker who got a perfect ball watching. He just sees to hold it back, and Pavard, as you're saying, is ball watching, and it's 2-2, just in front of the wall. This is there are 5 minutes extra time, and I think this is just as the 95th minute is, and then they started with the 96th minute, and the whole plays go ballistic. I mean, people are running onto the field. I texted with my friend, so one of the guys who work for the communication, Daniel, and he said he was waiting there to do the interviews, to help the media with interviews, and he said, I found myself in the middle of the pitch. They were all running onto the pitch. It was very emotional, and it was also very emotional after the game. Terzić was in his tears. And they're also one of the reasons he lost.
Why is that? Because you'd think Dortmund are the title contenders. You think they're just equalizing against Bayern. What causes this, other than the fact that you equalize that late? What's the significance of this for Dortmund? And why does it mean so much to a Terzić, to the players, to the club?
Yeah, first of all, the emotional part of it with Terzić was that he lost his dad last week, and we didn't know that by the interviews, but that got to be known afterwards. And of course, he would be thinking of his dad, who was probably very proud of him. Terzić is a Dortmund fan, be that all his life. You can imagine then equalizing the 95 minutes. You know, Marcus, that sometimes when you equalize at the end, that is like a win for you. And I think especially against Bayern, I think it was 7 losses against Bayern. They've been 2-0 up. Remember back in the days when Erling Haaland scored 2-0, they lost 4-2. So I think they see this as a kind of restart of the season. Maybe they lost 3-1 against Köln in the last game, and this was very important for them. And if you have a look at the table as well, you don't want Bayern to kind of slip away. And this now with a draw, the Union winning, and it's still a bit excitement in Germany. But on the other hand, you have Oliver Kahn, who made Edvard Munch scream, look like the new phrase from Signal Iduna Park. But I played against Oliver Kahn. He was a fantastic goalkeeper. Sometimes lost his temper, and there are all kind of photos of him losing his temper on the pitch. But I love that. I must say, when the CEO reacts as it does, and if people haven't seen them, it's on YouTube. Maybe you are so technical, Marcus, you can put it out as a link. It's a challenge for you, what Oliver Kahn did. But I love that, and that just shows you the emotions, and that's the Klassiker. Is the Klassiker. There's just not two teams playing against each other, and at the end, Bayern will win it.
And just to conclude the Bayern Dortmund game, it's kind of refreshing because Oliver Kahn, as a player, and you played against him, and I will always plug you into this. You have chipped him a very good goal. Maybe we can link
2
that
goals
as well.
against him in 3 games. I'm very proud of that.
Right, well, there you go. So, but as you know, and all kudos to you for that, Oliver Kahn, though, as a goalkeeper, he was crazy in a good way. He was a leader. And as a CEO, he's so composed, it seems, or when you see the Amazon documentary, and that's not the Kahn we know. So it was kind of refreshing to see that in the stands, that reaction, which I think is a natural reaction for a fan. But let's go into...
We just want to say with Kahn, Marcus, because sometimes you have these players, when players, and we will talk about Alonso later now, I guess, is that Kahn going into that CEO role, you kind of think that now you have to be a CEO.
Right.
So,
yes.
you're going to wear a uniform.
Yeah,
so instead of being like, wait, you would do like, well, at the end of the day, and you do that role.
Which he is a bit now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he is a bit, I would say, in a funny way, and using the Joey side, for friends, for those who don't have seen that episode, is like a bit boring. I must say, a bit boring, but still good. But is it a bit boring when he talks? And I like that Oliver Kahn. I think that Bayern need that Oliver Kahn as well, and I love that. And he came out afterwards. I think that at first people were saying, "Wow, what is he doing?" and all that. But then you saw the trend at social media, and I was one of them. Being an advocate for him being, I love that CEO reaction. I love it when they lose it a bit. And talking about Dortmund, Watzke, when they came to the Champions League final, they beat Real Madrid in the last minute. And I was in a catacomb at Santiago Bernabeu at the moment. And then they came and said, and I interviewed Watzke about it. He was so excited at the end of that game. He took the hand of King Juan Carlos of Spain and held it so hard to the last minute. And I love those emotions, because we should never forget that an Oliver Kahn, a Watzke, they are by all meaning, they are fans as well. They're not only... Kahn has played at Bayern for so many years. Watzke always been a... So I love that. I think that Oliver Kahn, we should see more at Bayern.
No, absolutely. I think in the way he cultured that, or fostered that sort of reaction on Twitter as well, I think it was a good way to go by it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. It was good at communication strategy afterwards.
Yes, exactly. And you'll appreciate that. But you did mention Xabi Alonso. And it's typical, isn't it, that you get a new manager and then everything seems to be all right, and you win the first game, and you have a Diaby who hasn't scored this season, who then he scored 13, I think, last season, and now scores. You have them just firing on all cylinders, winning 4-0 comfortably. Little fun fact is that Alonso made his debut as a player for Bayern against Schalke, and now as a coach, obviously, against Schalke. And Schalke, who are about to beat a very, very bad record, and that is, I think, they're 33 winless away games in a row. So they are about to beat, if that's a way to put it, Karlsruhe's record from 76-81, which was 35. So Schalke, 3 losses in a row. They will be struggling down there. But our focus this time will be on Leverkusen's appointment, a sacking of Seoane, which was very much kind of in the stars. Dad, what is there to say about Alonso, Leverkusen's appointment? We have covered extensively Leverkusen's situation. I guess so. It's not more so of a why now, but more so what is it that Alonso will bring to Leverkusen that they haven't had before, and what is he going to solve, so to speak?
Well, there's a lot of players going into coaching, and you're not sure what they will do. And my favorite quote maker, Otto Rehagel, you have to win football games. That is the only thing. And the modern game, well, Rehagel says you have to win football games. And Xabi Alonso on the pitch, for those not knowing him, he played for 3 of the biggest clubs in the world. He played for Real Madrid, he played for Liverpool, he played for Bayern Munich. For Liverpool, he was a part of that Istanbul unbelievable Champions League final in 2005. Mm-hmm. He was a player. He was an elegant player. He had a fantastic presence on the pitch. He was one of those everything he did was so natural. He always wanted the ball. And we were talking about that Schalke game. I remember, apparently he just arrived in Munich. I'm not saying hours before, but he just arrived at the club, and he's just making his debut. And he was the leader. He was the general on the pitch straight away.
General.
One of those, always. And he has. I tried to find out how of many of the. He's been a player under Ancelotti, under Jose Mourinho, Benitez, and Guardiola. And Guardiola said, he is my man on the pitch. And I mean, that is a knighthood coming from Guardiola, because Guardiola will kind of say that he won't give that Sir title to anyone. So, and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, then the one of the bosses at Bayern Munich, he said when he was leaving Bayern Munich, I can see him coming back to Germany or to Bayern as a coach. And I think that if people will put some interesting money on betting, then they should put on that Alonso could be the new Bayern coach down the road. But what I've started with is that coaches or players, they need to have a good timing on the first job. So Alonso, when you compare him, so to say, with other big stars who have gone straight into their big clubs. Yes, I know Xavi did it in Qatar before, but still straight into Barcelona. There's a lot of coaches never played football, and so it's all about timing. Guardiola straight into the job at Barcelona after having the B team, but he had a chance to go to Gladbach, but that didn't happen. So it seemed that he wanted to go to Germany, but he said, I want to do my education. So he started off training the 12, 13-year-old at Real Madrid. Then he did a B team for Real Sociedad. I guess that was his first club. And he took them into the second league for the first time since 1962, which wasn't a success. And now Leverkusen, with a young sporting director, Simon Rolfes, I think he wanted to hold on to Seoane because they thought that was a long-time project. But now it was time to get Alonso in. And we talked about it before, Marcus, but I think also the kind of image of Bayer Leverkusen being the company team of Bayer. If you have any problem on your body, Bayer will solve it. And not if you're a fan from them, because sometimes they, at least this season, you need a lot of their tablets, I think, to watch them play. But then you get Alonso, who kind of give them a kind of media presence. It's give them a global signal to the world. And I would put Bundesliga in as well, because after they lost Erling Haaland and Robert Lewandowski, they don't kind of have these global names anymore. The only global names will be, and I will probably forget someone now, but there will be Bayern. And then you will have Musiala as one of the youngest, brightest talents in the world. You have Müller and some of the Bayern players. Jude Bellingham as the player coming up in this summer, and Florian Wirtz. And then you, from Leverkusen.
And Mane, of course, as well. You said Bayern players, yes.
Exactly, but the Bayern players. Mm-hmm. But so I think that this appointment that Alonso is taking over one of the biggest, greatest player of his generation, that will do the Bundesliga and Leverkusen ever so well. And as you said, winning 4-0 against Schalke, but to be fair, first of all, it was an average game. But who care? They won 4-0. Schalke, terrible. It's like getting if Alonso was a Torrio in an arena, the ox had already taken some stitches because they were not good. But 4-0, and it's a great start to his career. And you know how it is when you do that, everybody will be happy and they don't care. And I think that they did the appointment at the right time. There are 6-7 points now behind Europe, so to say. So it's the table is early enough. Only played 9 games now, isn't it? Or yeah, I got it. 9
games. Yes.
So yeah, Bundesliga around 9. So they're still in there. So I just hope that is a great story if Alonso will do well for Leverkusen and the Bundesliga.
Absolutely. And from one coach coming in, there's another one who has gone out, and that is Pellegrino Matarazzo, our American friend who went to Germany rather early, seeking the professional football fortunes after his college career in America, Columbia, very good school, and then ending up in Germany and staying there ever since. what is there to say about Stuttgart? That, I mean, winless in the first 9 games of the season it's no shock, but even still, I mean, they had a draw away to Bayern. He did very well with Stuttgart taking them up, getting a great 9th place finish in his first full season there. Is it just a matter of you need something new injected into the club?
Yeah, first of all, we have to say that Stuttgart is a place where coaches come to die. They are just there for a short time. This is one of the places where they fire coaches for fun. And the reason I say that is he's been staying for over 1,000 days. That is nearly 3 years. He has over 100 games for them. And in the newer modern time, he's only their Meister coach, Armin Fee, who has stayed longer. So he has done a great job there. When he took over in 2019, they were in the second league. So he got them promoted the first year. Stuttgart being a big club, they came straight back, as did Schalke. But Hamburg and, well, we don't know that. We should have an extra episode just on Hamburg and get some guests from there, because it's not easy to get a big club straight back. And then in the first season, the Bundesliga, he got a 9th place, which was very good for them. Then they went optimistic into last season. But as you remember, they saved their place in the last minute, or more or less in the last round of last season. And as you said, they play 9 games now, 5 draws, lost 4 games. And now he lost against Union Berlin. League leaders, it's hard to win against them. But I guess they hope that could be a turning point for them, winning against Union Berlin at home. Didn't happen to them. And then they thought next game for them is Bochum. Bochum, we won't talk about them because they beat Eintracht Frankfurt 3-0. Terrible weekend for Eintracht. But they thought that will be his end game, an Endspiel. That's that is the first kind of thing that you get in Germany. You'll get one more game to save your place or save your job. But today, Sven Mislintat, I remember he was in Arsenal and he was in Dortmund at some time. They said they just had to fire him in terms of, we just need this negative spiral to end, so to say. And fair enough. And everybody who talked about Matarazzo, my experience with him as well. Great man, very loved in Stuttgart. But there are just everybody very, very praise him as a leader, as a human being. So I think that is just the way it is in football. Sometimes you just have to do what you have to do.
Yes, exactly. You do. The only winless team in the Bundesliga, so it will be interesting to see who they get in, and we will be sure to cover that. And we did mention in one of the previous episodes as well, with the likes of Alam and Khedira coming in as advisors. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact and how they will shape that decision. That if we just go through the remainder of the games, we had an Augsburg against Wolfsburg 1-1. Augsburg win their last 3 games. It was a team that we in many ways had kind of deemed to be clear relegation candidates. They might still be, but those three wins in a row certainly did wonders for them. We had the Bochum, as you mentioned, who beat Frankfurt. Eintracht going from beating the league leaders, Union Berlin, who now have a 2-point gap at the top, to losing and giving Bochum their first win of the season. And that you're welcome to kind of give some input into that, but maybe we just lock over that. Then also we have mentioned Nkunku, who had another great header. I believe it was his first headed goal in the Bundesliga. Who, since we've spoken of him and with that alleged Chelsea transfer, has really proved his worth. A great performance in the Champions League and Celtic, and now another great goal. I guess we also mentioned Füllkrug for Germany, who scored again. This
time on a penalty, but still he makes a name of himself. He's still top of the league, top of the chart, top scorer. And if they need a number 9, maybe this could be the guy. I didn't think that he was the greatest header, but they say he's a good header as well. So I've seen a good timing of him. But yeah, it was an interesting round. And also Hertha against Freiburg. Freiburg now in the second place, so they're still up there. You always feel that they can stay up there because they've done this for the last years. Union Berlin, you just wait for them to fail, but then they win again. And now they're winning away from home against Stuttgart in a in a kind of destiny game for them, as we spoke about Matarazzo. And Hertha turned, they were 1-0 down, and then it was 2-1 from Hertha. Hertha is now a soap opera. Their investor and Windhorst, and they're talking about spies, they're talking about everything, they're talking about them have to buy his thing back, because there are no free lunches, Marcus. If you give money to a club, it's often a loan. People forget that. It is often a loan to the club. So if they say bye-bye, or they're auf Wiedersehen, then I have to pay that back. And then Freiburg managed to get a 2-2 in that game.
Yes, yet to win at home, Hertha. And also one of the Sunday games, Gladbach against Cologne, which is a derby, Dad. 5-2. Cologne had won the last 3, actually. And Gladbach Cologne didn't do themselves any favors with Kainz getting sent off at 2-1. Kainz, who's been involved in more than half of Cologne's goals, actually 4 goals, 4 assists, did score this game as well. Gladbach, a funny one, who they've been a bit, it's ebbed and flow, and now they're only 1 point behind the likes of Bayern and Dortmund. So it's a funny little season for Gladbach under Farke as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that if people listening to this and they don't have a favorite team in Germany, and they don't want to listen to me when I said I should support Frankfurt, and they don't want to be the mainstream guys going for one of the big clubs, they should look for Gladbach and Köln, because you never know more or less what you get there. And I love these two teams, and it's so typical. This is going to be a 5-2 game because there is entertaining. And Gladbach, fantastic atmosphere at home, a bit underestimated. I've always said that they were a big team in the 70s. They're competing with Bayern München, with the likes of Jupp Heynckes being a fantastic striker back in the days. Later, they're known as a great coach. But 2 great teams, and like you're saying, the table is very, very interesting, Marcus. And when you have a look at it, it's 20 on the top. And then you have down to Eintracht and Köln at the 9th. It's 6 points. It's fantastic. And we played kind of 9 of 34 games. So hopefully till before the World Cup, they could avoid Bayern being top of the league, because I'm so afraid that they will get away. Well, they will obviously win the league. We all know that. But it would be so great that to have that excitement up there. And mind you, I'm always involved in debates in Germany. There's nothing funnier than debate Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, who said before the season, "Now we don't need a number 9. We will be flexible without the number 9. Okay, 2-2 against Dortmund. Uli Hoeneß from his house, he comes out with like the pharaoh with a writing, and he's saying, "We miss a number 9. Okay, let's talk about that again." Julian Nagelsmann, they say he's the best coach, one of the best coaches in the world. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, no role at the club, will come out and say, "Yes, he's a very talented coach." You're being called talented. I don't think Julian Nagelsmann like that. And then we debate that for a week. It's fantastic. Bayern, I've always said it, and I say it again, the most fascinating club to follow. A family club, a club based on these few people that has been around for a generation, and then still a global mark. So Bayern is delivering, and at the moment, the Bundesliga is delivering.
Absolutely, very much living up to its name of FC Hollywood, as we have discussed before. You can find a little insight into those in our previous episodes. For now, Dad, I think we'll conclude that round, and just remind us, you are in Munich now. And are you covering any of the German teams this week?
Yes, tomorrow I'm sitting in a debate. We're talking us through the Champions League round, and on Wednesday I'm doing for Servus TV in Austria. I'm doing Tottenham against Eintracht Frankfurt, and I brought my old shirt from the 5-1 against Kaiserslautern, decisive goal I did for them in 1999. And on the other side in the studio is Stefan Freund, who has brought his shirt from Tottenham, and he was also the assistant coach there back in the day. So we're looking forward to that. So it's going to be a great football week again, and then I will pop home to Norway for some days.
Lovely. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully Frankfurt can replicate that solid performance they had at home to Tottenham, and not the Bochum performance. Hopefully they were just saving up some of the good stuff. But Dad, appreciate that. And we will be back then next week for another roundup of the 10th round of the Bundesliga. So for now, auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. And if you have any comments, any issues, themes that you want us to discuss, give us a comment and we always reply to that. And if you know something that we don't know, which you probably do, just give us a shout.